Where do you want to sit?
Well, see, the last time I had to stand and then look over the edge, so
There-
maybe I'll
there's
stay
some
up
right there.
here.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we sit up here with you?
There's also that side, Emily.
Oh, yeah.
Stream test 1, 2.
What side do you
Well,
want to
there's
sit?
Counselor Stevenson. Hi.
Yeah, there's.
Um,
You want to sit on this side? Or you
yeah,
want to sit on
well,
this
we
side?
can go over there,
Yeah.
so then we're not crowded.
Yeah, we're not bothering you.
Recording in progress. Thank you, everybody. It's 12 p.m., so we're going to start the Audit Committee. We've got members, Councillor Pribble and Councillor Cuddy with me here in chambers. We've got Mr. Chima joining online, and we've got Councillor Rahman joining as a guest. I'll start with the land acknowledgement. The City of London is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Lenape-Wauk, and the Attawandaron. We honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. The City of London is currently home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit today. As representatives of the City of London, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. Please check the website for additional meeting and detail information. You're welcome to view this online. So we'll start with disclosures of pecuniary interest. I'll look around to members. Seeing none. Next is consent. We have nothing. Scheduled items. We have nothing. Items for direction. So we're going to start today with 4.1, the 2024 Audited Board Financial Statements of the Middlesex London Health Unit. Can I have a mover? Councillor Pribble, seconded by Councillor Cuddy. And so we'll open that for questions. Councillor Pribble.
Thank you. And through the chair, I do have a couple of questions to 4.1, actually 3 questions. And the first one is regarding the $7 million below 2023 reasoning revenue from Ministry of Health. If I can please get a response for the lower amount by $7 million, please.
Thank you, and we have Ms. Williams here answering questions. Thank you for being here. The mic is yours.
Thank you, and through the chair, Councillor Pribble, that is directly related to 2023 being the last year for COVID-19 extraordinary expense funding, and so that reduction relates to us no longer receiving COVID-related funding in 2024.
Thank you for that answer, and I have a follow-up. Statement of cash flows, grants received $5 million more. If you can please provide me more information on this amount, please.
Thank you, and through the chair, the largest impact to this was a payment over $4 million of COVID-19 extraordinary expense funding incurred in 2023 that was not paid to us from the province until 2024. This is a common issue for the Middlesex London Health Unit, as our fiscal year, which is calendar, January to December, does not necessarily align with the ministry fiscal year, which is April to March. And so sometimes we see funding that applies to our calendar year, and it flows in their fourth quarter of their fiscal year.
Follow-up?
Thank you for that. And I have last question, current demand loan. Can you please comment on it, if it's still the best option, and when is it coming up for renewal? Thank you.
And through the chair, I did meet with the CIBC, who is our bank in this matter. The demand loan and the variable loan the demand loan expires December 31st of this year. We have asked for support from the City of London as well as County Council in helping us with debt restructuring. However, if that's not approved, we will need to renegotiate the loan at a fixed rate. Obviously, the interest won't be as favorable as we did negotiate that initially in 2020, but the term is up, and so we will need to renegotiate it. We do not have reserve funding to tap into to pay that debt down any differently.
Thank you very much. No more questions.
Thank you. Councillor Cuddy.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I have the good fortune of serving on Middlesex London Health Unit Board along with Councillor Frank. And this is truly a board that does more with less. It is one of the best managed boards that I've ever experienced and been on. I can't say enough good things about the work that the CEO does, Dr. Summers. It's truly a board that works aggressively and with limited resources. So that's all that I have to say, Chair, but I certainly have enjoyed the last 3 years, and I'll enjoy the last year that I have on this board, and thank you very much for coming today.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Pribble. I have a few.
I have the chair and I recognize Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Williams, for being here to answer questions. On the Statement of Operations and Changes, it shows that other salaries and administrative staff salaries are both combined about $1 million over budget. And so I just wondered if you could provide any clarification there.
Thank you, and through the chair, Councillor Stevenson, the health unit, along with many others, has historically used a budgeted gap or a planned underspend of expenses on salary and wages to account for turnover. For example, delays in time to fill and outgoing staff being paid at a higher rate than incoming staff, and to manage the funding uncertainty that I referenced in my earlier comments. The timing of our fiscal year and the ministry often causes those timing issues. This gap sits in the administrative staff budget line, which is why this line looks under budgeted, but is meant to be offset by surpluses across the agency as those gapping scenarios come into play. Since my arrival, I've been phasing out the gap. It has decreased from 1.5 million in 2023, 990,000 in 24, which is what you see in that line from the audited financial statements of 24. And in 2025 budget, we've decreased that further to 441,000, which is more in line with our historical turnover rate. And of course, the ideal scenario is to no longer have that budgeted gap as part of our planning.
Thank you, and through the presiding officer, thank you for the answers. Really do appreciate you having all these details ready. What's included in other salaries?
Through the chair, the overage in other salaries was related to severance and transition payments that were made as part of restructuring from the prior year.
Thank you, and a follow-up. And do those also fall into the place where the province pays 75%, London pays 21% in terms of the severance payments?
Through the chair, yes. That's all part of our cost share budget.
Any follow-up?
Thank you. Yep, I've got just a couple other questions. I noticed in the September minutes of 2025 that there was a mention of prior year settlements with the ministry that may be requested back. You may have already talked about this. I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but I wondered, how much we're talking about and when there'd be clarity in terms of whether that money would be requested back.
Through the chair, the Ministry of Health undertakes an annual process where they review the prior year's expenses, and potentially they had flowed funding towards us that we didn't spend the full amount. That would be with respect to dedicated provincial programs. So for example, the COVID-19 extraordinary expenses. Through COVID, they got behind on that process, so there are still outstanding settlements from 2023 and 2024, where we expect to go through that line-by-line review in terms of the provincial funding, what amounts were potentially not spent that could then be clawed back. The impact would be felt within our cash in the bank at this point.
Any follow-up, Councillor?
Yes, thank you for that. And I do just want to acknowledge, I imagine the challenging times that you guys are all going through right now. So thank you for being here again to answer the questions. There was one other thing that caught my eye in the minutes, and that was there was some kind of a report filed that said the health unit was unable to fulfill all obligations under the Ontario Public Health Standards. And I just wondered if you could clarify what that was about.
Thank you, and through the chair, that is a bit of a complicated question in terms of our funding constraints have meant that we needed to undertake prioritization discussions. We are no longer, and this has been the case for the last 2 years, able to comprehensively fulfill the Ontario Public Health Standards, which is the legislation that basically dictates what we as a local public health agency need to be doing. For example, we no longer have nurses in our schools in most cases because we've had to prioritize other interventions like inspections of restaurants and personal service settings over providing nursing resource in schools. We're still there for immunization. We still have oral health there for dental screenings. But these are the kinds of decisions we've had to make to prioritize different programs in order to best serve the community from a risk perspective, because we simply don't have the funding to do it all.
Any follow-up, Councillor?
No, thank you again for being here to speak.
Thank you also, Ms. Williamson, for all the answers, and I'm returning the chair.
Thank you. I'll just do one last call for questions. Anything online? Okay, with no further questions, and thanks for being here, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to 4.2, the summary update from internal audit with MNP. Looking for a mover. Councillor Pribble, seconder, and Councillor Cuddy. And I'll look to MNP to see if there's anything you'd like to share.
Yes, through the chair. Good afternoon, everyone. So just a quick summary with regards to the memo. The audits, as scheduled for 2025, have been completed, and we've started on our 2026 round of audits. The scoping for the community improvement plans audit is underway, and you'll note in there that part of what we would like to see, and in having feedback from the committee with regards to previous input, is internal audit was seeking feedback from the audit committee members on which CIPs may be of interest, considering that we are undertaking that review. And then just one other thing of note, and it's more just of an administrative thing, during our previous time together on September 10th in the audit committee, it was raised that the timing of the privacy audit may conflict with the upcoming municipal election, as the city personnel involved in that would essentially be busy doing other things. And so there is a switch that we have done with regards to the timing of the privacy audit, and basically switching that time slot with the continuous improvement audit. So just a few things I wanted to highlight for the committee.
Perfect. Thank you very much, and appreciate MNP being here in person, as with the health unit being here to answer questions. Thank you for that summary. Looking to my colleagues for any questions. Anything online? Councillor Pribble?
Thank you. And through the chair, back to MNP regarding the recommendation of the CIPs. You're looking for, have you already received any feedback, or you have not received any feedback yet from either us or the staff?
Through you, Madam Chair. Our intention was in putting this forward was to put it forward to the committee if there is any particular CIPs that would be of interest to the committee, to help guide the shaping of any things for scope. So my intention in putting this forward was to solicit that feedback, whether it be here or after we adjourn today.
So thank you for that response. I do have one in mind. Having said that, I have not consulted with my colleagues nor with the staff, and I would prefer that. I don't know if the chair has different view on this, but I would prefer if we can give you this direction before. I don't know if clerk can confirm if it can be done the direction after the meeting, or if it has to be done during this meeting.
So the clerk's advising me that direction would have to be set here at committee or at council, I'm assuming. And is a motion or direction required, or are you just looking for feedback that can be shared via email?
Through you, Madam Chair, I was more looking for, we were more looking for feedback. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So if I'm understanding, and the clerk can correct me if I'm wrong, that any committee member or any councillor can reach out to MNP, share their feedback anytime between now and council.
Thank you.
No more questions. Thank you.
Okay, looking around at last call for questions. And if there's nothing online, I'm going to call the vote. All in favor?
Closing the vote. That motion to receive carries.
Okay. Okay, thank you, everyone. Moving right along, we're at 4.3, the performance measurement audit from MNP, looking for a mover. And Councillor Pribble, seconder, and Councillor Cuddy. And I will look to MNP to give us a brief introduction.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So before you, as far as number 4.3 is the performance improvement audit that was completed during this last period. Just a brief overview. This audit focused on this. It really looked at the city strategic plan as a foundation base, looking at the alignment of the metrics and how that is being, how progress towards that is being measured. The audit really focused on the performance measurement within the corporate strategic plan, as this is obviously a key document and public facing for both the council and the public. And again, the defined measurement and reporting processes that are looking to be implemented with regards to that. Out of scope was anything that cascaded down through to the departmental piece. We kept it more at the corporate level strategic plan in order to make sure it was feasible within enough of a scope for us to gain some understanding without biting off more of the elephant than we could chew. There were 4 main observations that came out of it, all of them rated as low, and they are contained in on page 5 of the audit report. They center around the consistency in which the performance measurement framework is applied, as well as how the goals are gathered and developed. One other piece focused with regards to the manner in which data collection and reporting takes place. So in summary, and this is the rationale between these all being rated as low, is they are viewed as more improvement opportunities to make sure that the time that is spent in order to set goals, understand them, measure them, and then report on them is both efficient and effective.
Thank you very much. Looking to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Councillor Pribble?
Thank you, and through the chair, thank you very much for this report. And as you said, this report, or both this report and our strategic plan, are certainly keys and for us to move forward. There were some really great suggestions. I do have a few specific questions through the chair. On page 33, or your report 3, it states or collects data due to the large number of matrix and time constraints. Can you please comment on the time constraints? Was it from your side or from our staff side?
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you for the question, Councillor. Thank you for the question. Yes, that specific phrase here, the constraint was upon the audit period that we had. It was essentially what I was mentioning in my previous statement. In order to make sure that the scope that we put together is feasible and understandable, we have to focus on particular areas. Our goal, because we thought it was the greatest value to the city, was on that corporate level, as opposed to delving down to the department level. As you can appreciate, that would be a huge undertaking that wouldn't necessarily, I think, drive additional value given the time commitments that it would place on civic administration.
Follow-up?
Sorry, thank you for that. And through the chair, page 34, or your report 4, it states there's centralized reporting platform, and it states making it easier for departments to get reminders, manage, and share their strategic plan updates. I don't know if it's coming from you or from the staff. Would it be same for the ABCs, or would it be just for our service areas?
Thank you. And through the chair, the Smartsheet platform is used with both service areas and ABCs.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. And the next one, page 36, your report 6, and our staff mentions that aligns well with the planning process for the next strategic plan, scheduled to begin formally in Q1 2026. And I just wanted a feedback from our staff because, again, we are in the last stage of our current strategic plan. What's planned for Q1 2026? Will it be really just the framework, or will it be potentially working with our current actions, initiatives?
Who'd like to take that one? Mr. Fab?
Thank you, Chair, and through you, this is when, so we've already been thinking about this for some time. Q1 2026 is when we designated as the project kickoff, when our planning begins in earnest. We really are looking to what the next strat plan is going to shape up like in terms of how we design it well and what that development process is going to mean. And we think we need the runway beginning in Q1 2026 to do an effective job of that. But it is looking ahead to the next strat plan.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Just one clarification. So there will not be Q1 2026, it will not be that our current plan is adjusted to the new framework. It will be looking for the future, for the new framework, which will be based on these findings. Is that correct? Actually, I see nods from both, so thank you very much. The answer is yes. Page 37 or 7, there's a question for MNP, and clause 4 and 5. The high volume of matrix relates to the strategic plan and makes it challenging to track progress and link different actions to a matrix on an outcome, hindering the city's ability to extract meaningful insights. 5, matrix related to social or difficult to quantify targets. I do agree with you in terms of the corporate, the big picture, but I just want to make sure that, and if you agree with me or if you disagree with me, and base this information for our staff, I do believe that this is very important for the departmental staff. So for the corporate, yes, it's going to be escalating the pyramid, and the corporate is going to get the big picture, but I do believe these are important to go within the departments of the ABCs and our city service areas. If you can please comment on that.
Through you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. Yes, I agree with you. At the end of the day, as one moves from the strategic to the operational to the tactical, the breadth becomes more narrow and you're able to go deeper. So I agree with your sentiment that at the end of the day, when we look at things from the corporate level, can we focus on more truly key metrics or key performance indicators? And then as we move down, as individuals' scopes narrow or as groups' scopes narrow, they're allowed to then have a more diversity of metrics that then helps them to understand their piece. So it should actually act as that pyramid as you describe it.
Perfect, thank you very much, and I'm glad we are on the agreement of addressing this issue or initiative. And the last question I have, I think the staff, and we went through our implementation plan this week already, there's always room for improvement, but I truly believe we are on a good track. Your feedback makes it even stronger. How do we know, like, let's say you're making certain recommendation, our staff is putting, the response from the management, which is positive, but of course, in this, there's no detailed, right? So there's no detailed, yes, we will address it, but it's not detailed how we address this and that. How do we come as an audit committee, or how do you come back, or how is the opportunity of you coming back and to making sure that, let's say, your recommendations are followed and the issues you have concerned that our staff really progresses aligned with those recommendations?
Through you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. I want to broaden my answer to that one, and then I will get back to the specific of it, because I think this is an important piece, particularly with an audit like this one. So general practice that we have worked through with the audit committee is that we track and report back on findings that are either of deemed to be of a high risk or medium risk nature, which we will see when we get to the future item, which is that dashboard that we provide on the tracking of progress. Low priority items, our practice has been not to necessarily track them quarter to quarter on the progress that's made. So I think this gets to the point that you're also highlighting a little bit. By the practice that we have done, that is what we have done in the past, and I would still suggest to the committee that we continue on that in the future, because it allows for us to focus, as well as for civic administration, to continue doing what they're doing, particularly on items that are viewed more as improvement opportunities as opposed to true, red light risks. With that being said, though, there is what I would say is there is always the opportunity for the committee to seek feedback on the progress of particular items, whether that be through the internal audit function or through civic administration. And what I would also say is that, generally speaking, particularly on how the scope of audits that we have done, we often do see overlapping areas, right? So many of our scopes, because the city is so integrated in many of the work that it does, we end up seeing these things come through to fruition going forward. So I would submit that if we look to the slate of audits that are set for 2026, how the effectiveness of how the city has set this framework, particularly if we look at this scope, how have we set our goals, how have we set the framework in order to measure them, it will become apparent through the scopes of those other audits. So it may not be a direct manner, but it would be an indirect manner to see the delta of what we observed and how that has been implemented.
So thank you for all those answers. And through the chair, and there's a question to the staff. As we just heard, if it's a priority is low, the progress is not kind of as detailed as it will be medium, large, high. Can the staff comment on this part for me to give us kind of the councillors, the audit committee? As I said, the management response is very positive. They will be aligned with this. But in terms of going future, what opportunities there will be, again, if it will be high or medium, MNP would be coming potentially back. In this case, they won't unless we specifically ask for. Can I please receive a feedback from our staff?
Thank you through the chair. I think it's very fair to say that when we write our reports for council, we always look for the incentive or the grounding piece. So we always go back to either a council resolution or kind of framing, right? In this scenario, specifically for the strat plan, in the development of council's strat plan moving forward, we're going to take this information, we're going to use it, and we're going to cite it as we move forward to share with you our process for the next strat plan. It would certainly be reasonable for us to do that, and so you will see this information embedded in the work that we share with you as we start to develop the next strat plan for the next council.
Thank you for that answer. And last comment, once again, I know I started with this, but I want to end on it as well. Great findings, great recommendations for staff as well. What we saw, I thought really a lot of good benefits from the implementation plan update, always room for improvement, but thank you. And I really believe you're on the right track, and it's going to be much clearer, much easier, again, to track our successes. And again, and identifying a room for improvement. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. You were just under the wire on the 5 minutes. Any further questions or comments? Anything online? Then I'm just going to make a few comments from the chair, if that's okay. Excited to see this. I've been, frustrated with our strategic planning process, critical of it even. It hasn't worked for me as a counselor very well. There's lots of great things in here. It's great to hear that staff are looking to start looking at that in Q1 of 2026. I also totally recognize that we've had staff changes and people are working with something that was started by previous people. So very much looking forward to seeing this being implemented and excited for 2026 and future iterations of the strategic plan. Was there anything that staff wanted to add? If there's nothing else, I'm going to go ahead and call the question. All those in favor?
Mr. Chima? Carried.
Thanks, everyone. We're going to move on to 4.4, the Anti-Racism and Anti-Oppression ARAO audit by MNP. Looking for a mover. Councillor Cuddy, seconded by Councillor Pribble. And I'll open it up. Or I'm going to pass it to MNP for a little bit of an introduction.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So yes, before you for this item is the ARAO audit. Just very quickly, the scope of this audit it was targeting effectively a look at the city's ARAO frameworks, how consistently those frameworks and tools are used, applied, whether the commitments in those plans are being put into practice, and then gaps and opportunities in the implementation, accountability, measurement, engagement that is associated with those. Excuse me. If you, when we step back and take a look at it, and this is actually to the previous comment, so there were 7 recommendations in total, 7 observations in total, and it ends up being that there are 5 of those that were deemed to be medium risk and 2 of those to be deemed as low. The most significant takeaways that I would just highlight is that integration would be a key takeaway or a theme throughout all this. There's lots of great work that the city is doing in order to push forward on its overall approach to anti-racism, anti-oppression. But there is better opportunity for integration among various initiatives that the city is taking, and that kind of cascades down to, with that lack of integration, inconsistency in which tools and frameworks are applied, the focusing on different types of reporting, whether it be on activities rather than outcomes. And so that would effectively be the main takeaway. When you do look at it, and there are the two lower observations, they are focused more on, again, opportunities to improve, particularly when it focuses on the data that we collect, the traceability of the initiatives that we do, as well as just awareness of how the city is doing great work to address incidents, and how can we better have both internally and externally that being understood.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'll look to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Councillor Pribble?
So, the Chair, actually, I don't have any questions. I just want to give the staff opportunity if anyone wanted to comment, but otherwise, on this report, but otherwise, I have no questions.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. We certainly appreciate the feedback we have received from MNP through this process. And I will say to you that many of the things that they had identified to us were known to us as well. This group of staff and this piece of work came together very quickly. And so to hear that from the auditors that we need to focus on integration, the work that we do, but also to highlight the fact that there are many important initiatives and strategies that have been developed. They become the foundation of the way that we'll move forward, and we're really focused on that. So did want to thank MNP for their feedback as well.
Thank you as well. No more questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have anyone online with any comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
Motion to receive carries.
All right, moving right along. 4.5 is the internal audit follow-up activities dashboard. I'll look for a mover. Councillor Cuddy, seconded by Councillor Pribble, and I'll look to MNP for an introduction.
Thank you, through you, Madam Chair. So this is the follow-up activities dashboard that we present to the committee as we meet. The big takeaway is that in total there were 6 recommendations from previous audit reports that we followed up with civic administration on with regards to this quarter. One management action item was closed, which is represented on page 3 of the document, which would be the independent payment certifier. 4 action items are on track to be completed, and 1 action item has been retargeted, which is actually on page 2 of that document, which is the tenant profile considerations. So yes, that would be my update. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate these summaries. I'll look to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Seeing none, we'll look online. And seeing none anywhere, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor?
Motion to receive carries.
Okay, so the last thing under items for direction is 4.6. For that, I'm going to pass the chair to Councillor Pribble so that I can move this motion.
I have the chair, and I recognize Councillor Stevenson.
Thank you very much. The motion that I'm going to move is slightly different than what was in my letter, so I'm going to read it out now. That the City of London Internal Auditors, MNP, be directed to provide a supplementary report to a future meeting of the Audit Committee by Q2 2026, which will include A, a cost-benefit analysis of operating and administrative expenses, B, clarification of where additional costs to support hubs are being allocated, And C, an explanation of how the incremental cost of hubs is supporting the intended outcomes. It being noted that this analysis will rely on data contained in the working papers of the August 28th, 2025 Housing and Homelessness Value for Money VFM audit with an estimated cost of $5,000 to $10,000 and no additional funding source being required. So I'd like to move that, and I'm looking for a seconder.
Looking for a seconder? I will second it. I don't know if he's opening up the floor for the questions and comments.
Okay, well, I'll just introduce the motion. This is just a follow-up to the September 10th Audit Committee, where I had asked some questions and was looking for data that wasn't in the report, and MNP had suggested that that data was available in the working papers, should we request it, and I said that I would follow up at another time. I've worked with, so thank you to staff, finance, and clerks, and I've worked with MNP on the wording of this motion to make sure that it makes sense to everyone and that the funding is available. Through the presiding officer, if I could get MNP's input on this, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. MNP, please go ahead.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Yeah, I think that the way that the motion is framed is clear. I think it makes sense with regards to the outcome being sought. And I think that the direction, as far as the timing piece as well, is clear. As far as thinking forward to the future, our goal will be obviously to do that by the timeline. And just to clarify, as far as it being a supplementary report, it won't necessarily take the shaping of the full report. It will be focused, contained, almost a briefing note or memo style is what I'm envisioning in order to meet the ask.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Councillor?
Yeah, thank you. Just my last comment is just I appreciate the support with this motion, and I'm hoping I'll have committee support for it. It's an opportunity to share with the public why this was a great investment and just get some of the details to help guide council as we look forward to more opportunities to move forward with the plan. So I don't really have any other comments. I'll leave it to my colleagues and just ask for your support on this motion.
Thank you, Councillor. Opening up the floor to any questions or comments. Mr. Chimaisi? No. Okay, I don't have any requests for comments or questions. I'm calling the question. All in favor?
Motion carried. Motion carried.
Thank you, and I'm returning the chair.
Thank you very much. So that's the end of items for direction. We have no deferred matters or additional business that I'm aware of. Nothing in confidential. So that leaves us with just a last thanks to everybody for their contributions today, and I'm looking for a move to adjourn. Councillor Cuddy, seconded by Councillor Pribble. All those in favor?
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.